Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet's greetings, and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some nonsensical Steelers talk. Solo again this week. It's going to be a quick one. We have the all-time best kickers in Steelers history coming in on this one, a nice, easy one. And also, we'll touch on the non-stories that happened over this week, I guess. Of course, TJ Watt posting a peace sign on social media, everyone freaking out about what that could mean. Oh my God, he's going to get traded. For some reason, they think we'd want to trade him for Brock Purdy, a guy who absolutely is not worth the value of a TJ Watt, in my opinion. So, crazy things going on. I know we never talked about the rule changes that were implemented. I'll wait till Gingy's here to get those. That was a couple weeks ago. We'll touch on those. Draft stuff is getting closer to being a reality. And just a whole lot of non-Steelers news. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is going to wait past all the fun things. Really was expecting the big Pittsburgh night put on by McAfee to draw him in, but nothing really going on there. It's a bunch of non-news time this boring time of year, so people make up all sorts of stories to say all sorts of things to keep you entertained. We won't do that. We will touch on the ones that I think are funny, and we'll mention them because, well, that's what it is. We might talk big wishes and whatsoever else is going on in an episode with Gingy, or if we bring back Lashkers if he comes for an off-season view. But for the most part, we're just going to keep with the rankings. That seems to be fun. We'll analyze some draft picks once they get here, probably right before the draft, talk about some people I hope, or Gingy hopes, through the viewing, fall to the Steelers or become Pittsburgh Steelers, guys who look like they're built to be Pittsburgh Steelers type of ideas, and just, try to keep it fun, try to cover all the comings and goings of new additional players. We're still looking at some top talent free agent type guys that are available out there. I mean, you still have Asante Samuel Jr., J.K. Dobbins type of guys that maybe the Steelers should look to bring in, and we'll keep putting up names of guys we feel will fit in here. But without really anything else going on, let's go ahead. Let's talk about all-time Pittsburgh Steeler great kickers here. Not a whole lot to choose from when you consider only, 6 people made more than 100 field goals for the Steelers. And no, just because someone like Bobby Lane did, go 16 to 23 for a field goal kicker, he will not make the best of the field goal kicker list, because this is about what they did, kicking only field goals, not the fact that he also was a pretty productive quarterback in his time. You go back to just the absurd difference in what kicking percentage has been. When you look at pre-1980s, the best Steelers kicker kicked at about 64% in Roy Riela. And after that, it's like every kicker on the list who was any good's over 77%. When you get to the fifth best kicker, I mean, these are the names that could be mentioned. Maybe is Chris Brown. Didn't make 100 field goals for the Steelers, but he was a kicker for a few years. Norm Johnson came over late in his career, and he made about 100 field goals for the Steelers. But for me, number 5 gets to come in as Sean Swisham, guy who had a good little stretch with the Steelers, made 88% of his kicks. Boswell just passed him to become the most accurate kicker in Steelers history with ones over 50 kicks, as Matthew Wright is down there below. And, who knows, maybe Matthew Wright comes back later in his career and gets a chance here. But I think Chris Brown misses out. I think Norm Johnson misses out. I think the list starts with, of course, Sean Swisham. And, just one of those guys, never missed an extra point here, made 87% of his field goals, made over 100 kicks as the Steelers, had a good run from 2010 to 2014. Not much else to say. Very solid kicker after a few rocky years after the departure of Jeff Reed, who, ironically, is going to come into this list at number 4. Jeff Reed, Steelers kicker from 2002 to 2010. A guy who made 82% of his kicks, was pretty good at his time. He was known to go out and get a little bit in the bars as well. but a very solid kicker for what he was his time period. His numbers were top of the league type of guy, not like top 3 or 4 guy, but that in the top 10 type of dude for his whole career. Helped the Steelers get to some Super Bowls, and that's kind of important as you'll see with number 3 on my list. Of course, that's gonna be Roy Gorilla. I hope I'm saying that right. The kicker of the Steel Curtain Dynasty, kicker from 71 to 78, made 146 field goals. Only 64% of his field goals did he make. Different era. That was acceptable back then. That was what was good back then. Boy, have times changed in what you expect from a kicker when you look way back to all of that. Um, then we go ahead, and this is where the debate really happens, right? 1 or 2. Right now, the most accurate kicker from 50 plus yards in NFL history, Chris Boswell, is number 2 for me. But the thing is, he could very easily become number 1 before his career is all done. I think to become number 1, he needs to become the Steelers' all-time leader in scoring, or at least in field goals made, or at least be close to the number. Right now, he trails in field goals made by really one good season with the way the Steelers let him kick. He's only 37 field goals behind the Steelers' all-time leader. He's made 88% of his field goals in his career, mainly dragged down by that one terrible year he had. Been good at getting the touchbacks, been pretty solid on the extra points. The dude has been amazing. The dude has been the Steelers' offense arguably more often than not. But that's also the case with the guy above him. And of course, he's been the Steelers kicker since 2015 to present day. The guy above him, the Steelers' all time leader in points, Gary Anderson, kicker from 82 all the way to 1994. He's a dude who made 309 field goals, about 78% clip, which was amazing back then. And until he gets surpassed, which very likely can happen next year, I'll tell you right now, if Boswell gets to the 300 makes, so 28 field goals, if Boswell makes 28 field goals next year, I believe number 1 on this list deserves to be number 1 in this spot. But until then, Boswell's going to stay number 2, just behind Gary Anderson. And big up arrow is going with Chris Boswell here. In terms of these lists, I think this is the list where the guy not currently seated at number 1 is most likely to be dethroned in the next, let's call it 5 years. Because this is the one where it's very cut and dry, and it's so close to being that he is there already, and Boswell just being one of the best in the game and being absolutely unbelievable and not getting talked about enough in the whole grand scheme of things, because there was a guy doing it so much better, and Justin Tucker out there in Baltimore who was just amazing, that Boswell got overlooked. But Boswell, in my opinion, deserves to be talked about as a guy who has a chance to overtake a Gary Anderson, who deserves to be talked about. Old school single crossbar on the helmet type of kicker guy back when, kickers still thought they were actual football players and not just kickers, and, wanted to put on that look. Not really. Is just having a little fun with kickers and doing a list on kickers, which is kind of weird at a really probably the most boring week of the offseason, because you are right now the farthest away from free agency and all the fun rumors, and the farthest away from the draft that you can be both ways in terms of time period. Next week's going to be a little more fun, a little closer to the draft, so a little more newsworthy on that. And the weeks prior were a little closer to free agency and what was going on there in the update of the team. So to me, this is the worst week. No rookie mini camps, no fun stuff like that. For a shout out this week, I gotta give a shout out to a guy who I'm not my favorite golfer out there, but you gotta give credit to Rory McIlroy for finishing off his career Grand Slam earlier today. For me, is when I watched it. Impressive stuff. Something that's not a very easy feat. And I know we don't talk a lot of golf, but it's off season. It seems appropriate to give a shout out to a golfer who had to win in a sudden death golf playoff. That's kind of a fun thing to see. And then you have to just feel bad for Justin Rose because this is the second time he has lost the Masters in a sudden death golf playoff on the first hole, doing it in the two most recent times that Rory on the career Grand Slam. Uh, Nothing but an impressive feat there for a very talented golfer. Now I'll let you know I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking underscore Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. Your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger is the fun YouTube channel where you get this awesome content. Be sure to tune in next week. If Gingy's not back, that's okay. We'll do a little bit of look into the draft and what possibly could be going on there. Some prospects to look for in each round that might be intriguing Pittsburgh Steeler type of candidates. But Dog Nation, Steelers Nation, love y'all. Wave them if you got them. Let's go Steelers.